the lead time in maintenance facilities has been a detriment for, depending on the model of the airplane that you're trying to transact. So there's just a lot of services that surround owning and operating an airplane that come with increased cost or complexity. And you've got to navigate and have good teammates to help you figure out how to get around some of those issues. How do we take some of these roadblocks and speed bumps and smooth them out so that owners can have a better experience?
So, hey, welcome back to the Aerospace Executive Podcast. I'm really happy to have Mike Mikolay with me.
Thank you, Craig.
Mike is a renowned jet broker. He's been around the industry a long time. He is an entrepreneur, entering his second year.
Yes. Yeah, literally today.
Of entrepreneurship. So we're going to talk about being an entrepreneur and boutique.
Yep.
High touch, high
Absolutely.
service, and how it pertains to the jet world and beyond. How's that sound? Mike, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Craig. I appreciate being here. It's an honor.
So it's great to have you. When we met, you were in the kind of thinking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
You did it. So you're off on your own now.
Exactly. So it's been a great year. Literally, today's the day that I made the leap, and then took me a couple of weeks and months to get websites and everything built. But been an incredible first year. Learned a lot about myself. Learned a lot about how the industry perceives me, and then had some great challenges, but also some very exciting successes. So feel very privileged for all the hard work and effort that went in. I think my clients got some great value out of the transactions that we did and what's to come. So pretty excited about it.
So what did you learn? What did you learn about yourself when you decided to take the move? I mean, this is something that people, it's kind of like if you know, you know.
Yes.
And, what'd you learn about yourself in the last year?
Well, I think the biggest surprise, I think, is just how many people I think that have been cheering for me along the way. I was a guy that just put my head down, got the work done, and still am that person, but never really took a lot of time to bask in anything or expect stuff from folks or just listen to sort of how they perceived me, so to speak. And so it's been a fun sort of thing to see how many clients, how many industry professionals, how many competitors, which I don't view them as competitors. I view them as sort of, we're all in this business to help transact airplanes together. And how many of those folks all were cheering me on throughout this year. And so that's been an interesting thing. And that's led to me having to come out of my shell a little bit and be a little bit more overt about telling my story, which, again, as a person that just put his head down and got the work done, I wasn't, looking for that opportunity, so to speak, until I leapt off this cliff and did it. But it's been fun. It really has been.
So you were the COO of a large aircraft brokerage.
I was.
For 20 years, right?
Yep, 22 years to be exact. Yep.
And then you decided to go off on your own. What was the biggest thing? What was the scariest part about giving it all up and going on your own? I mean, I've been there too. So, we talk about it. What did you find about?
It's funny. I just literally, before we got on here, wrote a note to my personal board of directors that I assembled a group of clients, friends, of course, family, other folks that have known me throughout my career, and worked with, basically wrote them a note and said, hey, I thank you guys for this opportunity and for pushing me, but you just don't know what opportunity exists. All those people told me that this could be something successful, that I could do what, I thought I could do within the industry. But until you see it, you just don't know what that opportunity is. And I've been very, very happy with that feedback. It doesn't come without a lot of hard work. It doesn't come without a lot of legwork to get it done, but having those people cheer me on and tackling that sort of obstacle head on, you just don't know until you do it. So everyone told me it was going to be okay, and you just got to trust and you just take the leap. So
I think that's where a lot of people get really scared. There's the comfort of that W-2.
Yes,
the comfort of that job. Mm-hmm. They sort of know they have it in them, but it's a big leap of faith. It's like, okay, who am I betting on? Am I betting on myself, or am I betting on something else? And that's a rewarding thing to put your sort of money where your mouth is, and to make that and to walk the walk, if you will,
It's rewarding, but it's rewarding in not just, for me, it's never been the focused on financials. It's about the focus on, can I do right by the people that I do business with? And also there's the intangibles of quality of life and stuff like that. The week between Christmas and New Year's was an entirely different scenario for me in 2024 than it was in 2023. Because in our industry, if you don't know, that's the busiest time of the year where people want to close stuff by year end. And I've done, double-digit deals in the months of December to try to get stuff across the goal line, because that was my role, is to make sure we hit our numbers. And so that was a different realm for me this year. And the family enjoyed it. They could sense it. I sensed it. It was, and those are the things you don't know, again, when you say, what don't you know, or what is it going to feel like when you jump off this cliff into this new adventure? If those people told me it could be like that, but you got to experience it until you believe it. It's
no, I mean, I'm the same. I feel the same way. The holidays for me, this year I kind of just screwed off. It was like 2 years of, I even told clients, I go, hey, it's December, we got 2 weeks of stuff here. Yeah. And nobody's doing anything anyway. So why don't we just all take the holidays off and we'll kick it off in January? It's cool. But the funny thing is, like, I like your mentality. It's you don't worry about the money.
Yeah.
If you do the right thing, and this is any business, if you do the right thing and do the things you're supposed to be doing,
yes,
everything else works. Everything comes into play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything tends to work out.
No, I was brought up that way. I had a family. My dad's an entrepreneur. He built his own accounting firm. Like you heard me say before, I built a personal board of directors. I have to thank my family and those board folks. And there's one individual particularly that's known me throughout my entire career that was helping coach me along the way. Without having that ethos and those role models, and it comes from a desire to do the right thing. And that's sort of the business I'm building, is that I don't know how to do it the wrong way. And it sounds so strange. And it's also very strange for me to say that out loud, but that's one of the things I've had to say this year, is to tell the story and be okay with people knowing how I feel about that, and not apologizing that I want to do it the right way, and it's not that I wasn't doing it differently. It's just that this is the way I get to now control how the brand is. And that's an exciting thing. And I think people feel that, at least that's the folks that I've been able to work with so far.
So the Wall Street Journal, it's interesting. The Wall Street Journal on Saturday has it's kind of buried, and it's buried. Yeah. But they always talk to CEOs, and they say, who are the 5 people you go to? Yeah. When times are tough. Yep. And you started out, when you decided to become an entrepreneur, you say, I'm a personal board of directors.
Yes. Yeah.
And so who are you can use names or just talk about what a backgrounds or whatever, but who do you, what took you to that process that, hey, I'm going to get a board of directors, or I'm going to get some board of advisors?
So I think it was that one individual that said, hey, look, you need to make sure that all the important people in your life, so it sounds very similar to that article you're talking about, making sure that those folks have the same alignment of where you're going, because you're about to make a major life change, right? You talked about the W-2s going away, and now it's eat what you kill in a variety of new ways. But that person, I think, helped me understand that it's got to be a combination of my core family. So I've got 3 kids and a wonderful wife who they all needed to be on board. So she's on the board of directors. The kids aren't, for obvious reasons. They're a little young for that. My parents, my siblings, I have 2 younger brothers that one was in the industry, and the other's very successful in his own right as well. And having some outside people, it was incredibly important to me outside the industry. So I've got somebody that is a professor at a renowned university that's been a friend through some things that I do outside of business. And then some clients and other industry professionals. And so having them sort of help understand, or help me understand where I was going to go and how to message my story, because they lived it. They've seen me in action, and also have them challenge me in a way. And so I needed not just a yes group. I purposely found some people that gave it to me straight. And those were some fun and interesting conversations leading up to January 13th of 2024. And having those discussions, I think really prepared me for some of these things, but then it also challenged me to say, you need to go maybe improve this about yourself. And I mean, the perfect example of that is the marketing team that I have there. They said, Mike, you need to go tell your story and you need to get on LinkedIn and social media and just be comfortable talking to folks about what you're doing. And that's been a fun challenge as well.
That's great. And how was that hard for you to jump? Was that hard? Was that a hard?
It is still hard. I mean, I'm not the type, Craig, that loves to go, talk in front of big audiences. And to me, the social media, I tell my kids, once something is out of and social media to me is like toothpaste, where when you squeeze that out, you don't put it back in the tube. So whatever you've said publicly on social media, it's going to live there forever. So, but it's not the easiest thing. I'm having some more fun with it. I'm becoming more comfortable with who I am in this industry. And I used to equate some of that stuff to being egotistical. And those folks in that personal board of directors said, Mike, that's not you being egotistical. That's just you being you. And why shouldn't people see what you are? So it's been a fun evolution. It's not perfect. I'm not by any means trying to be perfect on social media, just trying to keep it real. And what I see is what you're going to get. So it's been fun.
Yeah, what's the poster I saw on the wall at this restaurant? All you need in life is a big ego and a strong sex drive. Everything else is totally irrelevant.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's all good. So no, I love I love it. It's that's the fun thing. So, but you decided to stay small.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. You're a small boutique. Yeah. What's the how do you So let's talk about staying small.
Yeah.
And focusing on high touch.
Absolutely. So, for me, if you were to ask me what is a challenge of 2025, it's looking at what is the right scale, and do I stay sort of what I'm doing now, or do I bring on people to help build the brand or whatever? I have no desire to turn this into hundreds of people or that type of thing. I purposely want to continue to stay small because I think it's important that whoever's on this team, we give that personal touch. We're there answering the phone when they call, no matter when it is. If it's 10 o'clock on a Saturday night or or on a holiday, we're going to give that level of service because that's what I think these folks deserve when they're transacting airplanes. But it's a fun challenge that I'm looking forward to. Is who is that next hire? Who is that next teammate? Do they have the same sort of view of the world that I do about customer service? And that's going to be a fun thing for me to navigate. And you and I think, are going to have some conversations later on about that type of stuff. Because, I mean, you're in this business of looking at people and finding quality individuals. And, the whole ethos or the whole sort of Mikolay Jet Group isn't necessarily 100 people that can do 100 different things. It's me finding the right people to do the right things. And they may or may not end up being teammates that I'm paying their W-2s. It's just having the right people in the right places to help affect and do what we need to do for the clients. So
do you find that when clients call you and you say, hey, it's me?
Yeah.
And they're like, well, who's with you?
Yes.
It's me.
Yeah. I get that. And I do. And you and I've had that discussion where you've helped simplify it into one word is I am the firm, or one sentence, I should say, I am the firm. And that's been a powerful thing to rally behind. And the fun part is being able to prove that to people, to say, and I've gotten that feedback so far. It's people like, wow, you always answer the phone. I get that from other brokers. I get that from the clients. They're very happy about that. And they know that if I'm already answering the phone for them, the same is happening if I'm representing their airplane or if I'm trying to find them an airplane. Things are getting done. And now, does my wife and family love the phone all the time? No, but we all know that the phone makes money, as we always jokingly say around the table. So
I laugh about the CFO I placed 2 Christmases ago. And I was on a fishing trip in Key West and out on a boat.
Yep.
catching catching jacks
Yep.
and snapper, re-snapper, and my phone just kept going off. And I got that look from my wife. I'm like, just one more call. That's it.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So I get it.
Lived that, been there. And, but I look, my wife is fantastic in terms of she understands what we do for a living, and what it all means. And she rallies behind it too. So, I think one other thing I've learned in 2024 is how to overtly sort of set the phone in a certain spot in the kitchen when it's there, the family knows that I'm focused and that we're doing that. And if the phone rings, we'll deal with it. But it's not where I'm trying to be better at not putting the phone in front of my face when I shouldn't be. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's good, but hey, look, everything is there's a 90% to everything. It's 90% is great and 10% is not so great, and you just deal with the 10% that's not so great, right? So
absolutely, yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit.
Sure.
So 2024 is beyond us. Everybody says was an okay market for aircraft.
Yeah.
Yeah, are we? Is the world going to get better for us? Is the world going to get? What's the prognosis for the aircraft industry?
Crystal ball, huh? Yeah.
What do you think the challenge? What do you think the? Where do you think the tailwinds are? Where do you think the challenges are?
Sure. So I think we're coming into a time where I sense that folks are excited about what could be happening from a business environment perspective. We're post-COVID now, solidly post-COVID. I think a lot of folks that got into aviation, there's a pretty good stickiness. They're staying in. So as a guy that is buying and selling whole airplanes, I think that there's continued opportunity for folks to, I think they're going to be out buying and selling still. I think that if the environment changes from a business perspective, I think corporations and smaller corporations and high net worth individuals are going to be out buying and selling and transacting and upgrading. There's been a delay for some of these in COVID. Some of these folks that didn't buy airplanes or whatnot, they may be getting into it. And there's also folks that bought in that time period 2, 3, 4 years ago that may find that they need to go up or down in size. So I've had a couple of folks that have also gone back from whole ownership to fractional, so exiting their airplanes. So it's been, I think that's a good thing. There's a good opportunity. I think if you talk to a lot of brokers, we're all optimistic. Tailwinds are just the length of time to get into some of these inspection facilities. So I think there's a lot of discussion about how to either streamline that, or there's a lot more discussion around what depth do we really do. I'm still a firm believer that a pre-buy is the right thing to do, but we'll see where that all shakes out. I mean, I think that but the lead time in manufacturing facilities, or sorry, not for the maintenance facilities, has been a detriment depending on the model of the airplane that you're trying to transact. So a corporate jet investor a couple of months ago, Ken Rickey, was he was probably one of the most valuable, the most valuable speakers there. Yep. And he talked about the 5 things that were killing business aviation. Yeah. And it kind of comes down to the $175 turkey sandwich and the fact that, everybody out there is trying to get what they can. Yeah. Which really drives up. I mean, it's, when you see $3,000 catering bills for nothing great, and you see FBO ramp fees of $3,000 for event fees and things like that. Absolutely. Is that killing business aviation, or what do you think that there's a reckoning there? What's going on in the industry so I think that's a little more acute to that type of fractional and charter see that a lot more because there's an expectation of that. I think if you own your own airplane, you have your own corporate flight department, there's certainly some things that you can do to mitigate some of that expense as far as the $175 sandwich and those types of things. But it doesn't lessen that there's just a lot of services that surround owning and operating an airplane that come with increased cost or complexity, and you've got to navigate and have good teammates to help you figure out how to get around some of those issues. And if they become sticking points, I mean, we've always heard that pilot issues and retention and cost of pilots, that's not going away. It still exists. It's still an issue. You heard me talk about the maintenance facilities. You heard me talk about, I think that there's opportunity here. But you've got, I think, to trust those around you to help you navigate those. And I think that that to me is just something that we all got to work towards in the industry is how do we take some of these roadblocks and speed bumps and smooth them out so that owners can have a better experience. And I think we're seeing a lot of influx of people that came into COVID that is putting a little bit pressure on this. And I think that there's going to be a little bit of a reckoning of what's a normal level of service for some of these things. So it'll be interesting to see and how it all plays out.
You've been around the industry a long time, and somebody comes to you and says, "Hey, I've never owned an airplane before.
Yeah,
I want to go buy something," and I feel really bad. There's a guy that he may be listening to this, he may not be, but he was talked into buying an older Falcon 50, and was told that, "Hey, look, you can go charter this a trash load of hours, and you know the story. It'll pay for itself." And yak, yak, yak. And I think he's finding that the world's not as easy as it was made out to be.
Correct.
So say somebody comes and says, I've been chartering. I'm thinking I'm ready to go get into myself, get into this on my own. Yeah. And you're sitting down. What are you talking to them about?
Absolutely, the realities of the cost, what it's going to take to operate that. If somebody comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm going to buy this airplane, but the only way I can do it is to do a couple of 100 hours of charter," I call timeout right there in the conversation, and we start to talk about the realities that's just not. It's an urban myth in our industry that I wish would just go away. It is something that for every hour you charter, you get your own free operating hour of your own, but you're not going to take and put a dent into the capital asset cost of the airplane and those types of things. So. One of the beauties of being on my own now and doing this is if people don't believe that what I say and the conversation isn't sinking into those folks from having that conversation, then we're not the right fit. But I'm trying very, very hard in that conversation to give them the realities of what this landscape looks like to own, operate, and sort of maintain an airplane from start to finish. And so those conversations are sometimes hard because the person is excited about an airplane. If airplanes are sexy, they're fun. It's a goal for a lot of people to have their own and own and operate their own airplane. But if they're not really understanding the complexity and willing to build the right team, I'm one that, and this has happened a couple of times this year where I've been brought into some family office scenarios where I've given this pitch, and it's landed with some where they're very thankful that they understand the playing field. And for others, I'm just going to go find somebody that's going to say yes to this project and help me with that. And that's okay. It's you and I both know it takes all kinds to work in this industry. And some of those buyers see it that way. Some don't. So.
Yeah, it's interesting when people start pulling out the spreadsheet trying to, hey, if you do this and if you do that, it's like, yeah, come on.
I'm not in the business of trying to convince somebody to do something that doesn't make sense. And I guess the better way to say it is I am client focused. If it works for them, I mean, it's all over my website. It's I'm going to do the right thing for them. And if they want to, I'm not the type that's going to say, oh, let's do this because it's going to earn me a commission. I mean, certainly that would be the case, but I wouldn't be in this business for over 25 years if that was going to be something that I did on a regular basis, if at all. So I don't believe in that. And that's
look, there's a couple things that. Yeah, I keep hearing things. It's interesting. As a lot of people are out there saying, in a couple of years, the data will be so good, you won't need a broker at all. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? If I'm making a $5, $6, $10, $50 million investment, I'm not trusting the data. I think I want somebody in my corner.
Absolutely. I think you want to build the right team, have the right people. I'm just one of many on a team for a sale or acquisition. I mean, I want to be the right broker to help sort of, and by the way, I'm trying to change the word broker into advisor. And I think that's key to me is that I'm not here. That word broker, I think, is an outdated, antiquated word that doesn't paint us or those in this industry in the right light for what we provide. And I think that anyone can go Google what airplanes are for sale and this, that, and the other, and do just as good a job of getting a list of planes. But understanding what that list means, what they're going to transact for, what the good, bad, and ugly is about each of those models, buying or selling, is what we're looking for. But you also want this advisor to assemble the right team and help. I have no ego about that. The advisor has to be the quarterback, but somebody's got to take the lead with the team, the lawyers, the lenders, all the folks to the management, all of those things. We all have to work together. And that's the beauty of being in this business for this long, is that my phone has hundreds of people in it that I know who is the right person is at the right time to call. And to your point, if we're doing this for a $50 million transaction, that's what you're paying me for. Is if we start to hit a hurdle, we need to figure out how we're going to go around it while protecting your interests so that you don't screw up a $50 million transaction, and we get in the right, mindset in the right spot and fix the problem. So,
well, the ultimate thing is, hey, look, it's real easy to get $1 million bill on a jet.
Oh yeah.
And you think about it, like I was talking to another advisor. I like I agree with you.
Yes, thank you.
I agree with you totally. Hey, look, this is not a transactional deal. This is a true part. This is an asset partnership.
Yes.
And I was talking to one of your peers the other day, who's a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
He was just talking about a jet that he came across, and he was able to rattle. He's like, hey, look, this thing is going to come up on nobody told nobody had talked to the buyer of the airplane, but he's like, hey, this thing is going to come up across a $500,000 in landing gear and some other stuff, and you can do it if you want, but this is what you're up against. And I think Absolutely. That's the one perception, is that everybody thinks that, this data thing is going to be so easy.
Sure.
But to have knowledgeable advisors who are in your corner.
You need that expertise. You need somebody that's been through it. I'm closing in on 1,000 transactions, and because I'm one of those guys that loves stats and logistics and all that good stuff. And I've kept track of that stuff, but it's been, I think you need somebody that's been through most of these scenarios. I think there's very few things that I haven't seen or tried to navigate or been witness to on one side or the other in a transaction. And again, that's the value that I think I bring to folks, and that I think an advisor in this industry brings to folks. I think there's a lot of us that just have known this and how to do it. And as many times in the batter's box as we've been, hopefully there's always going to be a new pitch, but there's, sometimes we'll know hopefully we're at a better starting point than most with expertise. So
1,000 transactions. Mm-hmm. Okay. Here's something I think about all the time. It's so 1,000 transactions. Mm-hmm. How many did you have to do before you realized, okay, Mike, I'm figuring this out?
I'll be honest. I feel that I don't know everything. I know I just heard you just heard me say that I think I've seen it all, but look, I literally had a transaction last year where we ended up parting out an airplane. I had never done that before, and gotten to that point where it made the most sense economically and physically for the airplane to do that, and to navigate those paths which were new. I thought I knew it, and that's a very different example, but. Look, I'm very privileged that the folks that brought me into this business, that taught me this, and from small airplanes back when I worked at Piedmont to all the other stuff that I've done the last 22 years, I've had a great group of people, mentors and others, and frankly, industry folks that have allowed me to learn with them. And I think what I'm good at is I just have this memory that when I see it, I hear it and then feel it and then just file it away so that it just comes right to the forefront when I'm sensing we're seeing it again. And so, it's I wish I could say, after 30 transactions, I'm that guy that I know it all. I'm still learning day in and day out here, even though we're just closing in on 1,000. So
it's funny. I come to work every day. It's like I'm scared every day.
You don't know who's going to call.
That's right. Hey, look, I'm sitting in my construction zone today, so my name's not on the wall. But hey, look, it's not real far. It's not real hard to
You and I
the
both
person.
know we don't know what's on the other end of that phone line when somebody's calling, but we know that we're going to give good service because they're calling because hopefully what we can offer them is going to offer a solution. And so that to me is what gets me up every day to be doing this, is just because I know every day is different and I know every phone call is going to be a fun challenge. Some of them are easy and some of them are incredibly hard. And I recall a couple of times last year, like, wow, why am I doing this again? And then a day later, saying, oh, yeah, it's because of this. That I get to serve and help these people in a really cool industry. And for me, the airplanes are sort of secondary to customer service being is what drives me day in, day out, and almost to a fault where it's, I just love trying to help solve people's problems.
Yeah, the one thing saying, I left the industry for a couple of years.
Yeah.
And when I left the industry, actually, I did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was same client.
Yeah.
And what you find out with the wealthier clients and the people that are buying the high end stuff, they don't care about the price.
No.
They care that A, you're not ripping them off.
Yep.
And B, you're not lying to them. It's like, hey,
1,000%.
Just put it out there. Just put it out there. I think it's maybe, just learning that fact.
Yeah,
maybe
absolutely.
Much more direct and, much more direct. It's like, hey, you can't cry BS on something, but you could say, I don't know if I'd think about it that way if I were you. There's different ways to.
Yep. But no, that's 100% true. People want to hear that what you think, but they also want your advice, and then they want it straight. One thing I've had to get really good at is trying to put stuff into bullet points and not necessarily long paragraphs of feeling and other emotion that's attached to it. And that's been a fun sort of change as well. And I think that that challenge is just, people want to see a genuine sort of opinion and also make sure, to your point, that they get the right deal. And because for them, it's an emotional thing. I mean, I witnessed that in another transaction last year, where the gentleman asked me to do something. I gave him my opinion, and then we went in a different direction, and then we circled back to it because he said, okay, now it feels right. So, but having that sort of frank and open dialogue is the healthy thing that I think people expect and want. So
yeah, no, I look, it's amazing. The one paragraph email I sent, how many times do you get back? Yes, no, sounds good, thank you. Yeah. It's awesome. And it's just, you think about the more direct way to communicate.
Absolutely.
We've seen it all the last couple of years. We've seen the ESG movement. We've seen airplanes being painted and vandalized in Europe. We've seen companies go, maybe I don't want to do that because, for whatever reason, investors, environment, is all the noise, is it still out there? Are people shifting their mentality? What's the overall, from your clients and kind of the companies you're talking to, what's the overall flavor towards right now?
I still think that's very real. I still think that the U.S. is probably lagging Europe, who is still leading that charge. I think no matter what's happening here domestically and any changes that may be coming with the new administration, I still think that we're going to be dealing with that environmental sort of impact of what business aviation may or may not contribute. And so I still think it's going to be something that we need to do a better job as an industry explaining of the value of what business aviation does. I mean, I tell my social friends here, circle of friends locally, that I sell time. I mean, I'm giving somebody an asset that moves them from point A to point B in the furtherance of their business. So I still, though, think that I don't feel that Europe or any other parts of the world are going to relax their view on the impact that business aviation has on the environment. I mean, I'm interested in trying to read more about this new thing about, trying to mitigate contrails and those types of things. I mean, those are new, weird sort of things, but they may or may not be doing stuff. But I'm trying to stay up on that so that we, as an industry, can explain, or if people ask me what that does, and so we try to peel back that onion. But
how often is that Does that does that come up in the
It comes up
conversation?
like maybe once in an acquisition where people are going to ask questions of what is the impact. And it depends on the industry that folks are in, to be honest. I mean, if they're already having sort of that reporting need because they're a multinational corporation, it comes up because it's a line item I've got to solve for them so that they can put in a report. From a high net worth individual, it depends on how sort of aware they are about their impact and how they need to message that on if they need to. If they're a private person and they're not sort of out there into the public, then it comes up very rarely. It really is stratified by how known the client is or how known the company is around the world. So,
yeah, obviously the United Healthcare CEO thing recently occurred. World's becoming a little bit more volatile right now. Yeah. How much is security coming up in the conversation?
I think it's funny. A lot of the corporations, their directors of aviation report into security, or those types of things do come up. Again, it's an answer of it really depends on the individuals or the company that's involved. But certainly, security in aviation, having a plan. It's always part of that operational sort of build up, and they're another member of the team. You heard me say a couple of times already, assembling the right team for an acquisition or a sale and understanding how to message those things and how to navigate those gates. I mean, security is absolutely one of those that comes up because a lot of these folks are out there into the public and they have teams that go with them, and so they need to be a part of that planning process. So,
yeah, no, I always think about the CFO, and I've had, gosh knows how many directors of aviation I've spoken with, and like the CFO hates me. I'm like, of course the CFO hates you. Yeah. He just looks at the dollars and cents. At some point, you got to have the conversation with him. Say, get over it.
Yeah, well,
get over it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm an accouantant's son, and so I know what the value of the dollars and cents means. That discussion was had even before I leapt off this cliff into this new thing and spread my own wings. But I mean, all these pieces, be it the CFO's role to account for every dollar, security's role to account for security, ES&G, all those stuff, all those pieces play a part in owning and operating an airplane. And if you're going to do it at the highest levels, you need to make sure that you're assembling all of those folks. And that's what I say to folks. I mean, at NBAA last year, going to the tax conference, my eyes were opened even further to the benefit of having the right tax people, having the right lawyers, having all of these partners a part of this from the beginning, and not giving them an airplane after I've helped buy it and then say, oh, here it is. I'm taking a very different approach of, hey, let's look at these things. Now, some may say, well, that's going to bog you down and slow this down. It hasn't yet. I think that folks appreciate knowing what they need to do ahead of buying an airplane, and making that a part of the project has been key. So
yeah, no, I mean, look, I've spoken on this on a couple of conferences. Like, you got to just shrug your shoulders. You got to look. If you sit there and go, well, how much is this cost me? It used to crack me up when I worked at Gulfstream. They say, well, what's the cost per hour? Compared to a G4 SP against a Falcon 900, you're looking at it and go, who cares? Really?
Yeah.
Really? We're down to that. Like, let's get over it. A lot of
that's a rounding error, but
let's just get over it. And let's move on to what's really important to you.
Absolutely.
And I get it. The directors of aviation are trying to go to the CEOs and the CFOs and say, well, this one's less expensive and but I think that just becomes part of the directness in life when you just tell someone to get over it. It's a stupid conversation.
Yeah, and you can tell when somebody's throwing up a roadblock just to make their point or whatever, and having a good partnership with the actual decision maker of, hey, look, I appreciate this person's perspective. I understand why they're bringing it up, but to your point, being able to say to that decision maker, that's not necessarily the thing that we need to be making a decision off of right now. Or those conversations, while hard, sometimes are very easy if done in the factual manner that they are usually presented in, right? So it's it's been it's fun.
Business people are business people. What did you find when you went off on your own?
Yep.
What did you have to learn? What did you have to unlearn?
Unlearn. I do dearly miss a team and having a large group of people to not only just socialize and that type of thing. That's been a different thing. So unlearning some of those things where I delegated and now taking that on, it's rewarded myself in other different ways on that. But and then what I've learned, I sort of already alluded to it, is just coming out of this shell of being more comfortable in my own skin, saying, hey, I'm Mike Mikolay. I'm a business aviation advisor. This is why I think you should use me because X, Y, and Z. And just really being direct with the story of who I am and really being comfortable with it. That's been a fun thing to learn. And it's just a natural evolution. I know how to do stuff from a transactional standpoint because of what we talked about, but telling people why has been the fun sort of new thing to learn. And I credit that, like I said, that board of directors and all those that have given me the time, and frankly, other brokers, advisors, and others in this industry who have pulled me aside either at events or called me up or and given me advice. I find that invaluable. So
how do you know? Like, yeah, we're gonna the young kids out there who are coming up and the young executives, who are eager, who are coming up, be it in aviation or software or whatever. They start chasing a customer.
Yeah.
And when do you know what's your threshold when you know when a customer is real and it's like, hey, I'm going to pursue this, or when you just say, hey, this ain't the one, the one for me.
Yeah.
You throw them back.
Well, I've learned that lesson and tested those waters this year myself, honestly, because I thought my radar was pretty good, but boy, did I get nothing bad happened, but it was more of I ended up wasting a couple hours of my time on somebody that I thought would, if I had somebody sitting on my right shoulder, a youngster or somebody that I was teaching them, I would have said, okay, that person said this is legit and it makes sense and checked all these boxes. But when the road hit the pavement there, or the wheels hit the pavement, it turned out to be completely false. But thankfully, I wasn't the only one that ended up in that boat, and that's a story for a different day. But you have to develop this sense of asking the right questions, listening to the answers, and not necessarily using your mouth, and it's more using the two ears that we've been given to just try to sense where and what these people are saying, and does it really make sense? It's the DIMS method. I always employ, does it make sense, as a sort of first threshold to determine, is this going to work out? And so I would tell those folks, as many times as you can get into the batter's box to see a deal and understand how the flow goes and what's supposed to be working, those are the things that you need to see. And one of the things I'm very proud about this last 12 months is that anyone that's reached out to me via LinkedIn, I've had a lot of young folks, college age or just graduated, that reached out and said, hey, I've seen you here, I've done this, will you give me some time? I've reached out and we've scheduled calls on every single one of those and been having these discussions. I learned just as much from those folks as they're maybe learning or may not be learning from me. Mm-hmm. But one of them has been around where we've talked now regularly, and I keep telling him he just needs to get into the batter's box because he's asking the questions you are, which is, how do you know? Like, how do I know if I got a deal here? And I just said, man, we've talked through some things, but he's just got to see as many turns as he can. And so getting with an outfit that can show you those deals and getting with somebody that can mentor you, those are the things that I would suggest that those that are coming in behind me, that we end up doing this. And look, I'm a big proponent of trying to reach back and open doors. I always say to people, I'm happy to open a door, make an introduction. I've been around here. There's a reason I'm bald. I'm happy to go, help people out. But you got to be the one to kick the door in, man. I can't do it, but because you got to put in the effort and you got to want it. You got to want it. And so that's been a fun 12-month, been 12 months of helping other people out too. So it's something I wasn't able to do in a prior career either, because I just didn't have the time. Now to have the time to give back, that's important to me now too.
Yeah, I mentor a lot of college kids and young
I would imagine.
kids. But I got angry the other day with a client. He hadn't seen me in a year, and he goes, "Some man, you got gray hair now." I'm like, "Don't even go there. Don't even go there, pal."
Almost 1,000 deals. There's a reason I'm bald. Man.
So, but do you see that? I'm not seeing a lot of, I think this bothers me a lot.
Yeah.
Because the enthusiasm for our industry from the younger generations doesn't seem to be there. Not as much. And maybe it's a function of, I remember, when I was at Gulfstream at Bombardier, you had these aircraft sales guys out there who are almost legendary. You think about, Gene Rainville from Gene Rainville and Brian Moss and some of the other folks at Dassault and Textron. And now all of a sudden it seems like the industry's become more corporate. It's less renegade, more corporate. And there's not a lot of young enthusiasm. Maybe I'm wrong.
I tend to agree to a point. I think that I would have said that up until leaving and then having the opportunity of people reaching out and saying, "Hey, how did you get where you're going?" I mean, I've had a multitude of folks. The hard part is the onboarding path to becoming a salesperson. You've got to figure this out. And I think that what the difference could be is, remember the old dealer networks, the Piper Beechcraft, Mooney dealers. I mean, there was a lot of the Cutters, the Piedmonts, the Executive Beechcrafts, Elliott's. Those all had they brought us all up. I mean, I came through the Piedmont network, and so there was a lot more opportunity to cut your teeth on maybe smaller airplanes when it still exists today, but a lot of it's more factory direct, and there isn't a lot of smaller airplanes to be sold. So I don't know where that's going to go yet, but it goes back to what I was saying. You just got to find somebody that's going to mentor you, or an organization that does a heck of a lot of deals that you can get your teeth sort of cut into this industry, so that you see what that deal flow works, and then you can move into turboprops, jets, whatever your heart's desire. I don't know. So it'll be fun to see, but yeah.
I think as an industry, we got to, we gray hair guys got to start doing a little bit more of the, it's a little bit more getting some enthusiasm back into the younger ag. We talk about it all the time. Yeah. I think it's happening. Yeah. In some ways, but we got to get better about it. So
absolutely, that's fantastic. I agree with you.
So you got big plans for 2025? Is that
just trying to keep rolling, keep this momentum, keep the excitement, and but yeah, I mean, I'm off to a fast start. A couple of deals already, one behind me, a couple more coming. I'm very happy with how things are shaping up to be in 2025. So for me, it's just each day, a little step at a time, waiting to see what the next phone call brings. And, you and I both know in this industry, as I alluded to, we can't really plan and say, hey, in the third quarter, 6 people are going to call me and refer me. We just don't know. And so I think that's the fun, exciting thing. And if I continue to do what I'm doing, I just know that positive energy will lead to some great things. And that's all I can ask for. So that's the goal for 2025, is just keep the smile and keep on pushing ahead.
Keep on pushing ahead. Well, congratulations on all your success. I remember a year ago you said, "Hey, Greg, I think I'm going to go do this on my own." I was kind of disappointed, candidly.
I hear you.
But I've been watching you for the last year, and congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Congratulations on all your success.
I appreciate that, Craig. Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it, and look forward to continuing our dialogue. So thanks so much.
Best of luck for 2025.
All right. Be well. See you.